Levels of testing is basically what we are testing. So if it is a client demand, a client wanted to do something, so that is more likely an end-to-end scenario that I wanted to create an account into this new feature. So that level of high level end-to-end scenario is what a client demands. Then that will goes into acceptance testing. That is the biggest one, I would say. And the second one is system testing. The smallest part is system testing, how our system works on an end-to-end level. So that's where system testing comes in, that you will be like, you create an account with multiple steps. You go to a login page, you click the sign up button, you create this information. This information is stored in somewhere, and that also added additional information like what time the consumer created it. So those kind of informations are additional informations. That's how we designed the system. To test how the system is designed is another big level of next to acceptance. That is the next big level that we call it as system testing. And integration testing is pretty much these actions creating to writing to databases. The function is already there in existing microservices or APIs. So how we are adding this information and how this information passes through different endpoints, APIs, how web is sending this information to API, how mobile is sending this information to API. This kind of integration between two systems is called integration testing. And then unit test, the smallest part of these four, is on the micro level, on the microservices, on specific endpoint. When I'm sending this endpoint, when I'm doing within the endpoint, we'll be using multiple functions to process this information. For example, a time zone is changed from local time zone to ITC, international time zone. There will be multiple functions will be added or edited because of this functional requirement. It is how we are going to test. What we are testing is what we call it as unit testing. Practically, unit testing is mostly done by the developers. Integration testing, some level of integration testing will be done by the developers. For example, if the developer is doing some microservice level integration, 2 microservices or 3 microservices, they might have a test to check this integration between multiple APIs are working fine. But a microservice or API backend developer might not have a test or might not write a test for integrating it with web application or mobile application. So that's where the system testing comes in. So as a tester, most of the time your focus would be between system and integration testing, that how the end-to-end system is working, how these APIs and different types of front-end, back-end, mobile, desktop, these kind of things are integrated well, and these different endpoints are integrated. And then unit testing mostly by developers, and remaining two, integration and system testing, done by testers, and acceptance testing obviously by the consumer or product manager who wanted to test it before going to production. They will do an acceptance test. Sometimes we have friends and family discount for some people who actually test it before it goes to production. So those kind of acceptance testing. Modern days, acceptance testing level is very low. They just push it to production and do an A/B testing to see how well the consumer accept it, what kind of errors comes in. So acceptance testing is kind of splitting that into A/B testing, friends and family, and stuff like that. But sometimes, most of the times, none of the consumers are actually testing it. They are going to use it, where everyone else, the developers and testers, will figure it out how to make sure the acceptance testing is the feature we developed is acceptable for the consumers from our own perspective. And system testing and integration testing is pretty much on the testers bucket, and unit test is on the developer bucket. But in modern times, this can be overlapped with each other, and some is extended, some is automated, some is manually tested. This is pretty much a quick overview about what all the levels of testing. So this is pretty much duplicated into, if you are thinking about testing pyramid, this is pretty much similar to what the testing pyramid looks like. But you have to think about when you are automating it, you have to reduce automating acceptance testing, because the consumer might have different views and different ideas. In system testing, you might want to automate it, but sometimes it might not work. So it depends on your company, your product, how well we can try it on production. So those kind of multiple factors will define what we can do, what we can automate, and where we can automate, stuff like that. That's all for levels of testing.